Good evening, one and all. Tonight we're going to do a Q&A on what the signs are that you're working in your business instead of on it, as most of us do, and basically how to go about around fixing it, making it so that the business is working the way you want it to work and not working you. So what's the biggest sign you're stuck working in or on your business? If the business stops every time you're not running a business, you're running a very stressful job. Working on the business means building systems, people, processes, and structure so things still move forward when you're not there. Any questions, by the way, just jump in. It's a completely open format Q&A tonight, so if you've got a question about anything about to do with business or governance or board roles or business development, anything to do with business, just jump in and ask. So ask yourself this: if you disappeared for 2 weeks tomorrow, what would happen to your business? Really is the ultimate stress test. So let's imagine you had to go in hospital tomorrow for 2 weeks. What will happen to your business? Would sales stop? Would the staff panic? Would customers still be chasing you directly while you sat in your hospital bed? A scalable business survives your absence. A dependent business collapses without you. I went for a very, very long time when I first started looking after my first business, thinking that I was the life and soul of everything in my business, until I was struck with appendicitis. And I was out of work for 6 weeks. And it was a really humbling experience, because I actually realised my staff did most of the work. I just did the nice bits. And actually, they did rather better without me than when I was there. So you got to ask yourself, if you disappeared for 2 weeks tomorrow, what would happen to your business? Any questions? So why do so many business owners become bottlenecks? Well, when they start, you are generally the best technician in your business. So when you decide to start your engineering business, you're the best engineer, and off you go. You're the greatest baker, plumber, coach, designer, consultant. But then they try to approve everything. So eventually the business grows around them like traffic around a broken down car. So that's why most business owners become the bottleneck in their business. You need to learn to step back. In fact, funnily enough, this morning, I actually spent about an hour and a half with a client, and we were talking about just that. We were talking about step back, get off the tools. You know, if he can get off the tools, then he can have a more sustainable business, and he can actually plan for his own retirement. So, are you solving the problems or just creating a dependence? If your team asks you for every small question, you've accidentally trained them not to think. Leaders should create decision makers, not professional permission seekers. So again, if I go back to the family business that I joined back in 1990, actually it might have been 88, but anyway, it was around 1990. My dad used to get sick of us asking all the time, what's this, what's that, how do we do this, how do we do that, how can I do that, is it okay if I go and spend this? So he created a once and once only book. So he asked a question, he wrote the response in it, and if you didn't check the book the next time, you got in trouble. So he started to train us to become independent thinkers, to the point where I took over the business in 99, and the staff just got on with it without me. So training your staff to be independent thinkers when you recruit someone to do a role, let them do the role. Don't micromanage them. Don't control every situation and every conversation. Let them do it. If they then go on to fail, you just got to retrain them to improve next time. You have to allow people the space to fail in order to succeed going forward. It's really, really difficult. As a founder, it is incredibly difficult to allow somebody else to come in and do things on your behalf where you're used to making all of those decisions. So you have to learn to step back and let them be. How do you know if you're addicted to firefighting? Certainly in the early 90s, my dad was addicted to firefighting. Most certainly. If you feel important when there's chaos, you've got to say you're maybe addicted to firefighting. Some owners unconsciously create urgency because calm feels unfamiliar. If every day feels like survival mode, the issue isn't workload, it's structure. So how many of you run your own business? You just give us a show of hands if you can. Give me a thumbs up or a yes or a no, or just drop a comment in the chat. What's the difference between being busy and being strategic? And I actually, I deal with this quite a lot in my day-to-day coaching and in my trusteeships with a number of the charities that I sit on the board of. Busy fills lots of time. Strategic activity builds future value, but you don't always feel like you're working when you're being strategic. Answering emails all day feels productive, but one strategic decision could move the business further, much further than answering 200 emails. Employ somebody else to answer your emails. Let them filter them. You know, do you really need to know what your supplier's got on the latest offer? Well, not unless you're looking to make a purchase, you don't.